The latest coming in on the Intra-Afghan peace talks, the US Special Envoy to Afghanistan Zalmay Khalilzad is scheduled to visit New Delhi and meet India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jaishankar today. The visit comes just 2 days after the Intra-Afghan talks opened in Qatar. The two men are expected to discuss India's role in the ongoing Afghan peace talks in Doha. Remember, India is a major stakeholder in the region and was also invited to the opening ceremony of the talks. Khalilzad had arrived in Islamabad on Monday, that was yesterday, hoping to convince the Pakistani leadership to play a constructive role in the ongoing Afghan peace talks. Khalilzad met both the civilian and military leadership in Pakistan and pressed upon the establishment to not play spoiler. The deep state in Pakistan is involved in sponsoring and orchestrating terror attacks across the border. There's fear that this trend will derail the reconciliation process in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, the intra-Afghan talks were off to a rocky start as clashes broke out between the Taliban and Afghan forces merely hours after the opening ceremony. The government accused the Taliban of attacking its convoy along a highway in Kunduz. In response, the security forces carried out airstrikes in the provinces of Baghlan and Jawzjan. Now, the government says Taliban attacks have increased rather than decreased since the talks were announced. Representatives from countries including India, the United States, Turkey and Pakistan were also present at the opening ceremony. India's presence at the talks has not gone down well with Pakistan. Securing a ceasefire will be the civilian side's biggest goal, but Taliban is yet to agree on it. Chief negotiator Abdullah has hinted that the government could release more Taliban fighters in exchange for a ceasefire.
Respected and cherished.
Let's get a sense of analysis on all the latest developments taking place in Afghanistan. For that, I'm joined by Mr. Vivek Karju, who is India's former ambassador to Afghanistan. He'll talk to us more about this entire issue. Thank you for joining us on our broadcast, Ambassador. Ambassador, now that Khalilzad will be in New Delhi today, what concerns should India be raising?
I think India should be raising the concern of the future structure of Afghanistan, which should be an independent structure and not be beholden to anyone. That is the point that we've made in the statement of Dr. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister. This, as an independent Afghanistan, is important for the entire region. And as these talks progress, clearly they should not be influenced from outside. The fear is that because of the Taliban's connections with Pakistan, the Taliban may be influenced by the Pakistanis, and that is something that needs to be avoided, because if that takes place, then an already complex negotiation will become far more complicated.
Right. The terror links is, of course, a concern of utmost importance. Ambassador, why should India be playing an active role in promoting a peace process in Afghanistan?
For a few reasons. The first is that the long-term stability of our region requires a peaceful and stable Afghanistan. That is an Afghanistan which will become a bridge between Central Asia and South Asia. Once Afghanistan is at peace and stability, then there will be pressure on Pakistan, added pressure, not only from Afghanistan, but from Central Asia and beyond, to open the land routes with India via the Punjab. I think that is one scenario which is realistic. The second is that a peaceful Afghanistan will also mean that the Pakistanis will not have the kind of ability that they have today to promote trouble in the region as a whole. And I think a new Afghanistan, which is that a post-intra-Afghan talks Afghanistan, should these talks be successful, and we can only hope that they are, because that will be good for all of us, will be a reality, and that Afghanistan, I'm confident, will want to see good relations with India, which is the principal power in the region.
Right. Ambassador, since you've mentioned the geopolitical dynamics, also the role of Pakistan, will China try and use its proximity with Pakistan to fill the vacuum created by the US exit and cement ties with the Taliban?
I'm not quite sure to what extent China will try to stretch in Afghanistan. Certainly, they have economic interests in Afghanistan. They already have a lease, if my memory is correct, on the Aina copper mine. Similarly, they would like linkages to develop between Afghanistan so that it can become a source of important raw materials for their economic development of the Xinjiang region and Western China. So those aspects are very much there. But I'm not quite sure to what extent China will want to fill the strategic vacuum in Afghanistan. They've rather been reluctant to stretch themselves out strategically and militarily. Their card, which they play, is the economic card. And that is something that they would like to develop more, even though their economic assistance to Afghanistan has been far less than that of India. So I think all in all, India has a certain role in Afghanistan. It has a certain position in Afghanistan on account of history. And I, for one, am not terribly concerned as of now with whatever Chinese moves may be there, whatever kind of ingress that they may wish to make.
Right. Coming back to the US role, Ambassador, in the backdrop of rising American interests in South Asia and the US electoral politics, how do you evaluate Khalilzad's India visit today?
Look, the first thing that Khalilzad wants is that the talks should not break up prior to the American election. The American elections are less than 2 months away. And they are just about a month and a half away, actually. And Trump needs to project to the electorate that he has succeeded in Afghanistan and will be able to get far more boys and other soldiers back home than his predecessors did. And therefore, Khalilzad would wish that this aspect should be protected.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for sharing your precious perspective with us on this broadcast.